So up here we have Aaron Lewis, John McDonald with Planar. Aaron Lewis is with Visual Sound. Leo Bull with VuWall. Jason Alter with Haivision. Bill DeLaura with ViewSonic. And Marcus LeClerc with Absen. You saw all the vendors down there in the basement today.
They kept us in the basement.
My name, again, is Rob Henze. I'm the Vice President for our Command and Control Division here at Visual Sound. I have a ton of experience in the industry. I've been doing this for about 15 years now. I've been here at Visual Sound for about 10. Aaron Lewis.
Hi, everyone. Aaron Lewis here with Visual Sound. I've held different positions throughout the last 12 years in this very niche industry. I've consulted, I've managed projects, I've managed a design team, and back home at Visual Sound after a trip to the West Coast to work for Mitsubishi. So happy to be back here and excited for the session.
John.
John McDonald. I'm a 25-year AV veteran. I've spent the last 4 years focused in the LED market. It's just emerging and blossoming and taking root in ways I never even imagined. But I'm very excited to be a part of this niche of the industry.
Leo.
Yeah, my name's Leo Bull. Embarrassed to say that I've been in this industry 30 years now, so I date myself a bit. But most recently, 13 years at Haivision. So Jason and I actually worked together for a little bit, but been with VuWall now for a little over a year. So enjoying the control room technology.
Jason.
Jason Alter with Haivision. 27 years in the industry, 25 of those dedicated strictly to mission critical facilities for some of the largest systems integrators, technology consulting firms, and now manufacturers. I've held positions from engineering to consultant, sales leadership.
Bill.
My name is Bill DeLaura. I'm with ViewSonic. 25 years in the video industry, all dealing with a few manufacturers. My current manufacturer, we sell LCD displays and interactive displays and video walls. And I have to say, I think video walls are always the fun stuff to sell. So that's it.
That's what I got.
Marcus.
Am I the oldest? I am. 89, I started with CRTs, right? So does anybody know CRTs, Tim? You're too young? Yeah, no? Yeah, 3 major manufacturers, NEC from 89 to 09, Sharp for 5 years, Samsung for 10. Started getting old and looking for my retirement job, and I thought LED would be a good place to make all my other companies feel bad. So been with Absen for a couple of years, cutting edge, large manufacturer out of China, and yeah, love it. And to this whole thing, the emerging technology, it's getting really good, and there's some pretty exciting stuff going on, but I'm happy to be able to come and hang out with you guys.
What's a video wall? Like, does everybody know what a video wall is? Yeah?
One definition.
What is a video wall?
Video wall is a large display or a collection of displays, collection of sources, all creating a single operating picture in front of you. Video walls, if you want to just, I'm sorry, LED. LED is what's leading the market now. LCDs have been very popular in the market for a very long time. Matrix together, you can make some really big walls. Display cubes is where I started, and they're pretty centric, utility-centric, but so it really can be projectors, LED, LCDs, cubes, whatever you put a common image on.
Why should a video wall be considered?
I heard someone say once they want small ideas to appear big.
That's good. That's a good one.
Good one.
Yeah, there's unlimited reasons for why you'd want a video wall. Potentially, it's just to get a message out. Digital signage. People walk by it, need to know something. It's right there for them. I work in control rooms. It's critical information that's there. It's critical information that maybe the operator doesn't have time to share with the management. So the management can walk in and look at that video wall, and that's the conversation. So In education, video walls are, not just projectors in the auditorium anymore, they're interactive. So the sky's the limit. LED's been around for a very long time, not at this pixel pitch, and it's long-term technology.
So what I'm going to do is just go through a couple examples of some video walls in different locations, education. Here's some more as a digital signage, boardrooms, sports venues, rental and staging, emergency operations centers, traffic management centers, real-time crime centers. So these are just some examples of where you're going to see video walls in the marketplace. What makes video wall technology a game changer in modern environments?
From our perspective, for our clients, what we're seeing, it's the ability to be able to bring in so many feeds, just an unlimited number of feeds, and be able to display that, collaborate. It's been a game changer. Really, it's changed so much, especially with the adoption of over IP, where you're really able to do that easily. And again, collaborate not only in one location, but remote locations as well. Be able to manage that remotely. So that really has changed the way that video walls are used these days.
So that's from the source side, and then from the endpoint side of the display itself, it's the ability to build any size wall in order to display that content in the environment that you have. So whether it be a 16 by 9 or a 32 by 9 or a different aspect ratio, just because you need that resolution or size wall to fill, we have that ability to do that based on smaller building blocks that we put together to make one large seamless image.
And it doesn't need to be a square, right? It can be a mosaic, it can be long, it can be shaped, curved. It's to catch the eye, right? Draw the people in like butterflies to the flame. But no, definitely a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, we see it outdoors when we're driving, right, nowadays. And in the lobbies, you want to capture someone's attention and bring them in and hold them for a few minutes and tell them your story.
What are the key factors businesses or institutions should consider when choosing a video wall technology?
So one of the key factors, first, you want to consider the environment that it's going into, right? So, what does the room conditions look like? Ambient lighting. Equally as important is what are you using the video wall for? What are you going to be displaying on it? Where are the people that are actually using the video wall sitting? What's the distance from them? Then you're going to look at things like resolution, or in LED's case, pixel pitch, are some of the things you need to consider.
Yeah, I think some of the other things as well, scalability, having that flexibility, but also being able to scale very easily is an important thing. And ease of use. You need to make sure in these environments you're working with operators that aren't very technical. They don't necessarily understand what's going on behind the scenes. They need to see what's important to them. It's got to be displayed there, but it needs to be done easily. So ease of use is a big factor. The last thing for us is compatibility. Really being able to make sure that who you're choosing, it's going to work with the other systems that you have in place. So there's integration involved, and finding the right partner to be able to put all that together for you.
Lastly, I would say support, right? You're going to invest a large sum of money into a project, typically with a video wall solution, and you want to make sure that the integrator and the manufacturer are there and have the ability to support you to make sure it's up and running 24/7, 365.
And if I could add on to it to say, the other thought before you even get to some of this stuff is ask yourself, what are you going to show on it and how mission critical is it? So if you're just saying, oh, I'm going to show, it's in a lobby, I'm going to show faces or video, that's different installation type than, say, a NOC or a command and control center, small text. And then also the concept of how mission critical is this? Like, is this a lobby where we have content on the wall that'll bring people into our lobby, make them stay longer? That's different mission critical than if it's a NOC or something that's, a network operating center, where it's really important that if it goes down, or even a menu in a fast food restaurant, if it goes down, we can't do any business. That's mission critical. You need some redundancy built in. You need redundant power, redundant sources. So kind of start with that, of what we're going to show and how mission critical into it, because a lot of people start with, I have so much money and I want a certain pixel pitch because my friend has that. And it's, well, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, what are you showing on this, A face, someone's face, a video is going to be a completely different video wall and a different cost than, say, a network operating center or something you're going to install within that type of setup.
Content is king.
Content is king. Figure out what you're showing and how mission critical it is.
Is there a life cycle cost or longevity that kind of plays into your selection?
Yeah, that's huge, right? Yeah, no. Well, I mean, obviously you have an initial budget to start with, whether you're establishing that by going through this effort, or you have a budget to start with. But what you have to think of is when does that next refresh come up? And different technologies last longer, and just have different life cycles. So that's a huge factor in there. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about the separation of those technologies a little later, but yeah, that's a big factor, is life cost.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, the other thing to think of is this going to be used 24/7 or 12 hours a day? That, most of the video walls themselves, not all the components, can last 100,000 hours. But if you're saying, oh, I'm going to run this 24 hours a day, there's other things to take in advance, versus 12 hours a day, that's a totally different life cycle within those two products. Was there something specific, application you wanted to
No.
chime into?
I've worked with Rob and Aaron on command and control centers, so I know that's just part of the conversation when first selecting the type of wall.
Yeah, especially in those environments, having a partner that can send someone out to fix it in a jiff is pretty important, especially if you're monitoring Hurricane Helene that's tearing through Florida. You don't want to go. So having a partner that has a maintenance agreement or has experts, subject matter experts that can come on site, swap out a tile, swap out a screen, make sure that you're up immediately and everything's back to hunky-dory. I mean, that's important too. Some people pay for the wall, pay for all the hardware, and then when something breaks, they don't know who to call. So having an expert help you from integration, design, repair, break fix, and scalability. What's the next thing you're going to upgrade to in 5 to 10 years when you've gotten your money's worth out of that original wall?
Good question.
What should you think about the standard lifespan of a video wall? Would 10 years be about average now?
So it depends, right? If it's a flat panel, LCD flat panel, it's 10,000 power on hours on average, is what it was at Samsung. 24/7, that's about 6 years, I think. LED is more redundant, it's 100,000 hours. So 24/7, that's 12 years, right? But when you look at the price and it's 10 times more expensive than a flat panel video wall, you have to make that decision of how much of an investment do you need to make? What are you going to be upgrading down the line? It's kind of a cost thing.
Well, I was just wondering, what percentage of your budget should you set aside to buy some spares, like a display, a controller, a interface device? I mean, that's kind of what we did. We push the numbers up, and then with something that's mission critical, we can set it on
That
side.
changes too, right? So if it's in a hospital, everyone's super nice. If it's at where the Flyers play and they lose the game and someone's throwing beer, you're probably going to need to replace that wall a little more often, or cover it, or keep the general public away. Airports, other public spaces, it's tough because something could happen that's outside of your control. But I think all the manufacturers provide spares, provide good support and service under their warranty. But good integrators who know that you can't be down will have spare parts ready to deploy. They'll work with the manufacturer to get your broken one fixed, put that one back in the closet for the next one that dies. It's all how much you want to spend and how important is that wall to always be on, right?
Well, that's what we run into with stuff that's end of life and the support.
Yeah.
You're out there on eBay looking for parts.
Yeah.
In my experience, a good rule of thumb is 10% spare parts. Yeah, and you should always buy particularly LED and LCD because you don't know if that form factor is going to be available in 5 years. You should buy those at the time of purchase.
Most LEDs come with a percentage of spares that are already color matched to that lot. But from a end of life standpoint, we let our clients know that, hey, these are going end of life in the next 18 months. We suggest that you might want to get a spare one or two, or however many you're comfortable with getting, of whatever that is, whether that's LED, whether that's LCDs, whether that's processing, whatever that is. How has video processing evolved to handle the increasing demand for high quality content delivery?
Yeah, I can take that one. So video wall processing, probably in the last 5 years, it's more evolutionary. We're dealing with a lot more content types. Before it was pretty simple, right? Everything was connected baseband. It was circuit switch, matrix switches feeding a video wall processor. Now we're seeing more and more people, more and more companies using web-based applications, right? Like in EOCs, it's Juvari's web EOC, and they're accessing that through the web. So video wall processing has had to adapt, right? So a couple ways to do that. You can have a dedicated computer running the same way you always did, but most companies now have the ability to natively integrate those types of applications in. Streaming media, H.264 streams, being able to decode those and distribute those. I mean, basically IP-based infrastructure. Not too long ago, an operations center or control room was a monolithic space. Everyone is dark space and worked, and nobody knew what was going on. Now, more and more, because it's all about being able to share information and have a higher situational awareness, you need to be able to spread that information out. So video wall processing has had to evolve to not only accommodate a much wider variety of input type sources, but also how it's distributed. So to me, that's the biggest evolution.
With so many display technologies available, what are the main differences between LCD, LED, and projection-based video walls, whether that's front projection or rear projection cubes?
So the biggest difference between LCD and LED is the pixel pitch, the resolution based in a single 55-inch display area, right? When bezel-less LCD first came out in the early 2000s, the primary purpose of it was to be able to build a wall bigger than the available largest 63-inch display, and use that in building blocks to create larger displays. They used to have a 46-inch size, but now since you can buy a 98, which would be bigger than a 2x2 of 46s, that all went by the wayside. 55 is still available, and one of the key uses for that is in command and control because of the resolution that 2x2 110-inch at 4K at a very low cost. The pixel size is actually progressing quite rapidly and is now starting to rival the pixel pitch inside of an LCD display. However, it's still cost prohibitive to get a 4K inside of that same 55-inch display. But you'll start to probably see that come down like we've seen all technology, right? Race to the floor in order where that LCD technology will start sunsetting probably in the next 5 years or so. And then the main difference between LCD, LED, and projection is, just again, the same parameters that you have, front projection with shadowing, the screen's ability to fight off ambient light within the room versus backlit displays and not having those challenges.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I do, but so LCD versus LED. Right now, LCD is probably more economical for the display resolution.
Correct.
But you're limited, right? And downstairs in the basement, right? I got the idea you could build an LED wall out of these panels, any size you want. LCD doesn't have that option.
You do have that option with LCD, absolutely. I can tile them as high and as wide as you want me to.
Okay.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah,
You were mentioning like 48, 55.
Yeah.
But that's only three sizes.
So the 46 went by the wayside, so the only building block in LCD is a 55-inch display. But I can tile that block as many and as far and as wide as you want to.
Downstairs, that's not LED blocks. There were this.
Yes, 12 inches, 13 inches high by 24 inches wide.
Customizable than LCD. And probably got brighter brighter future, you're talking about LCD.
Well, there's a higher longevity to the LED versus LED is 100,000 hours. Mine in particular, LCD is only 25 or 50,000
You
hours.
said you saw LCD
Sunsetting?
out of the market.
Yeah.
Price has become commoditized,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I could build a wall in my basement, but with LED, I can only dream to have a nice, bright LED wall in my basement. But 10, 15 years from now, we're probably all going to have a media room where the whole wall is little pixel cards that we just pop in and they all come up in Sports Center.
Apparently controlled by my cyber cat.
Well, I mean, that's what the Samsung wall is. The Samsung wall is direct view LED in your living
For
room.
high net worth individuals, yeah. Barry Gordy.
Like you.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So-
Low net worth.
One way to think about it is with the projectors, really you can think of it as like cost will give you that, cost per square foot will give you the kind of future of the technology. Projectors are the least expensive per square foot, and then you've got the LCDs and you've got the LEDs. And the longevity and the kind of problems that go along with it kind of filter in that same way, where you've got projectors are least expensive per square foot, but as he was saying, you're going to have trouble with ambient light and other issues, light coming out of windows, et cetera. LCD, a little less customizable, and then LED, most expensive, longest lifespan, most customizable.
Going on what he had just said, actually, you'd mentioned that you could kind of build out an LCD to pretty much any size that you want, but that would include bezels. in it,
Correct.
Right? Or can you
Flat
build it
panel?
out just like,
LCD,
yeah, or, yeah,
Flat
LCD.
panel.
yeah, LCD either in my product line, it's either going to be a 0.88 bezel,
Yeah.
bezel to bezel, or a 2.6.
But you'll receive that, whereas LED, you kind of just build it out.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Good conversation.
What about light sources for projectors? I understand downstairs they were showing lasers, laser sources.
Yeah.
And also there's a laser, there's a short throw or zero throw they call that.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in the spectrum of projection technologies?
It's got a space, especially when you're talking about educators, that it's in the middle of the room and the teacher's up and there's a shadow that's cast. But with short throw, it's no shadow. They're able to interact real time with what the people behind them are seeing.
Is there space or size limitation on the short throw as far as how big of an image you can throw?
That depends on the lens. I mean, there's lenses that, give you different sizes based on that short throw.
Come back at 3.
Generally in the classroom, are you talking about classroom or in general? And were you talking about light sources or just the size of the image for the original question?
The size of the image.
Yeah, so the size, you can, in theory, keep going back, right, in the room, and the image will get bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's going to be washed out. So, but generally speaking, with short throw projectors within the classroom, it's 110, 120 inches, and then some of the advanced, like what you're seeing with Absen and I'm assuming they're laser products, that you can get bigger images. It's still, again, it's cost per square foot is cheaper than LED, but you're going to end up with all the same variables that we were talking about before.
So the LED, I'm sorry. The LED technology we're talking about is standard conventional LED, not OLED, correct? Is that
Correct. OLED is a term like retail.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of I don't want to call it a fake term, but it's a term that we don't get. It's not a commercial term.
So good at spinning it. So the O is for organic, right? Which means that the diode emits organic light, but it's all a spin doctors take from Samsung
So you're
to get you to
spending
buy
more, not
it.
getting-
Well, so they'll say LCD, but it's not an LCD because the backlight is LED. Okay, but it's still a flat panel with a bezel. That
The LED is just a light source as opposed to actually what you see.
Correct.
Correct. But to your thing with projection, you worry about the bulb and the noise and the dust and the fan. So there's other elements that you got to pay attention to for its longevity that you need to, with a maintenance agreement or service contract, good folks like VuWall need to come out every 6 to 8 months, depending on the environment, and make sure that it's up to snuff, right?
Those ones they were showing downstairs were LED light sources.
For the projectors? Yeah, so it's an LED light source, but you still have a bright. The other thing you have too is a brightness factor. As soon as you start to run that LED, and this is true for all projectors, the brightness drops off pretty quickly unless you start it at, say, 70% brightness. And then after a couple years, it drops off. The brightness drops off a little quicker as an old projector guy. So that's just the downside of projectors too. So it really is two different things. One is a LED backlight going through an LCD. That's for like an LCD display. And you have an LED light source going through a filter for a projector, and then you have the downstairs, what we represent is an LED light source coming straight at you.
I thought some of those were laser light sources, with laser diodes.
You end up with some are both LED and laser light source, so you can get the full spectrum of light. And I haven't done this in like 2 years, so something's might have changed. But it is, sometimes you have multiple items creating the full color spectrum.
And I'd just like to bring up, we say more expensive costs more. What we mean is the material, the equipment. But if you have an operation that you're making a 15-year plan, or the mounting that's involved, the processing, there's a lot more that goes into that decision and the costs of the technology. So yes, an LCD costs less than LED today. But that might not be true for your operation, your use case, how long you're planning to have it, and how you're using it. We've made some, especially with LED coming down in cost, there's some really compelling comparisons to where after 15 years, LCD costs a lot more. So it's just the ways you have to think about it. They said, get spare LCDs when you buy LCDs because that form factor might change. We've learned that lesson. And when that one display that goes out is unavailable in a matrix, so now you have to buy all of them and remount everything, So yes, it's less expensive today to go buy one, but that might not really be the case when you really take a look at your entire use case.
And I believe you're actually you have 46-inch LCDs, so
If you have a spare
you
box.
you don't have any options
No, we don't.
to.
That's why part of it is okay
Yeah.
with replacement technology.
Yep. Good questions. What are the best practices for integrating video wall technology with this existing infrastructure and software systems?
So, I'll take that, and without being a commercial for visual sound, honestly, one of the most important things for our clients, our end users, is making sure that they find an integrator that can do all of it. Us sitting here, we're experts in what we do. Visual sound or integrator is going to pull all those pieces together and make sure that they're doing it right. They're going to help with the network inside of it, which is important. They've just got the knowledge that's required to really do the full integration. So it's a critical piece of it. Obviously, understanding all the components, yes, you're going to want to do your research on that, but they're going to help advise on that as well.
Everything's supposed to, like video walls, original ones, they were standalone, right? So you'd have something in the lobby, you put a thumb drive in, welcome so-and-so today, and change the message, happy Halloween, it's the blood drive in the cafeteria to all. But now, with video walls and lobbies, those are plugged into the network. And that's where IT is like, wait a minute, you're gonna put what on my network? So you have this battle, right, where it's like, and then, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna send video. What type of video? Oh, it's compressed, 8K, not over my network. So you really, IT, hate to say it, but they now have more of a say because they own the network and they own the connectivity and the traffic. And if you're sending big chunks of video data, you can slow everything down. And in the hospital, it's probably not a good thing, right? So you always need to get someone's blessing, but the infrastructure, for sure, you need to have some idea that you're not going to crash the email server because you want to thank Dr. So-and-so for coming to the hospital today,
That's why we're on an isolated network for that.
Exactly.
How has network-based video processing changed the way content is shared?
So network-based video processing is exponentially changed the way content shared. Kind of going back to my earlier statement, where things were much more siloed and contained within a control room. Now with distribution of content over IT networks, that information becomes available in much more places. Basically any place that your network can reach. Sometimes where your network can't, we can do things over wireless networks that we couldn't. Haivision does a lot with bonded 5G cellular networks for mission critical video. So it really is a game changer. But to your point, you really need to understand, the network infrastructure. You need to have buy-in from IT early, have these conversations. What does a network look like? While we can, commingle on an enterprise network, it's usually not advisable, at least together. You can VLAN things out, You can, most of the times within a control room running on an isolated network, but still has the ability to bring in content from other network segments, be they secure or just be they other public network segments. But yeah, IP's been a game changer.
Some customers too rely on their subject matter experts or their partners to send the content remotely, right? So they don't have a bunch of marketing people with thumb drives going around to these walls and plugging them in. No, they got an IP address and like the Flyers skate zone over in Voorhees. Our good friends here from Visual Sound can send that content remotely from here, have it come up whenever they want, whichever fashion they want. So again, being connected to the network allows that to happen, right?
Well, security becomes an issue at that point.
Sure, if it's a closed network or if it's secure, sure, you don't want somebody showing TikTok videos that they're not supposed to.
Security's always got to be top of mind. It was not too long ago when we viewed network security like you secure at the perimeter, right? And, a lot of devices, while they were secure, they weren't incredibly secure. You wouldn't want them public facing. Now things have changed, right? It's no longer looking at security perimeter, it's individual access, right? So right down to, the user zero trust architecture. So you always need to be aware of security. Yeah.
Cost is too high, we don't.
And just a note for service and support, this has also given, our service groups the ability to have system health sent to them, anything that's going wrong. So the system's also talking to us, letting us know what's going on, and you may not even see it within your room. And, so we're able to catch problems before they're apparent, just because the system's able to communicate to us as well.
Integrators can also include AI, right, to see what's the most efficient, what's lagging, what will make it smoother, crisper. So it kind of gets smart as it goes, right? A little bit understands what's the least path of resistance for that content to go from here to Philadelphia. When the Phillies hit a home run and the freaking Liberty Bell starts digging in the dog, right on demand though, it comes up. So having a good partner who knows what they're doing is certainly paramount to a good installation.
Your only secure is your weakest link.
That's right.
Yep.
That's what my wife says.
What are what are some of the most exciting or unconventional emerging trends in video wall technology that you believe will be significant impact in the next 5 to 10 years?
So I saw something pretty cool. During COVID, you couldn't just make movies, right? You couldn't take a bunch of actors and go to the Swiss Alps. So Absen on our rental and staging site, it's called Absen Live, they have something, it's called virtual production. The floor, the ceilings, the walls, the backdrop, it's all LED. Now, you set that up in a warehouse, you get your actors, you bring the Swiss Alps to your warehouse. And it's amazing, the detail, how fine it is, how it looks like the Swiss Alps, but no one's freezing, but you don't know because it's virtual production, right? There's a lot of blogs, a lot of studios. I've seen some pretty cool stuff when the screen's on the floor and the screen's on the ceiling. It's pretty intense on how that all goes together and how all that works and looks seamless, right?
Anybody a Mandalorian fan?
Yeah.
So all of that was filmed in front of an LED screen, and the idea is that, you take away the green screen, and then you take away all the rendering that has to happen with the green reflections on anything that's on any of the actors and having to embed a new background to everything that they're doing. It's all done live in a single production sweep. I think the trickiest thing is actually keeping the actors moving in a particular direction and never hitting the wall itself with the content that's there.
Yeah, large venue stuff too. You see Taylor Swift down at the Citizens Bank, walls of LED, and they're moving, and there's lights, and they pack it all up into boxes. They take it to the next town, put it up, big production, tear it down, box it up, take it to the next place. Pretty incredible how modular it's become and how rugged it's become too. You can really.
Well, they showed some of that technology downstairs with the floating side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one last thing, if you don't mind, I mean to jump in on there too, is that the other thing that's coming out too is that flexible modules that you can put on custom frames. So instead of everybody's picturing this flat plane where they actually are rounded and it's not a faceted curve, it's a true curve to the entire display.
Straight angles, sure, right, the pillar.
So everything. Columns can be circular and make it a more dynamic display, especially in things like digital art.
I mean, look at the sphere, right? If I'm sure everybody's seen or heard about that, that's an industry marvel.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we've all given examples of LED. LED is exciting. We're scratching the surface on how we're going to use it, where it's going to end up, and that's exciting. You couldn't just put a TV on the side of couldn't put a TV on the side of a van and drive it around with digital signage. You can do that with LED. You can put it on. It's only started. It's only started. That's the cool part.
What I was going to say is it's not as exciting as what we just talked about, but it's certainly affecting things for the long term. But it's AI and how that affects video wall technology and just the ability to manage and alert and give advanced notice of things. It's amazing, and so much of it's over my head, but I'm being forced to learn more and more about it lately, and it's certainly affecting everything we do. So
You're a total nerd.
it's but I still don't.
We're all nerds up here.
How are video wall solutions adapting to the needs of hybrid work environments, such as corporate and education spaces?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we've talked about is just the ability to collaborate and be able to push content remotely. So now, when you have, for us, for an end user that has executives that are at their house, they need to see important information. Something's happening, Department of Transportation, they have to look at something. They're able to send that and collaborate from their homes. And with so many more people working from home, certainly it's affected that. I mean, where you have to be able to receive information securely in a timely manner.
Also, in the image that you have up there, it's Teams front row, right? So that's not a standard 16:9 requirement. It's a 21:9 request of the size of the image by Microsoft. And with that LED building block, you're able to actually expand it and create it. There are some LCD solutions that are that same 21:9 aspect ratio, but it's confined to a smaller space because obviously fitting it in things like elevators and getting it to where you need to inside of the corporate environment. In the LED world, with the smaller building blocks, again, we can build that non-traditional outside of a 16:9 display image in order to accommodate what it's looking for.
We have a few more questions to get through. How do you see the evolution of video wall technology regarding energy efficiency and sustainability?
I was just going to say, I mean, we're seeing that right now, going from SMD to micro LED is one of the solutions right now, right? SMD, surface mounted device, is going to a micro LED, at least in a lot of our product lines, which is increasing the power efficiency by threefold. Micro LED is a 4 LED packet that's put down as a single device on side of the circuit board. It gives us ability to drive the brightness up at a lower power consumption. So, I mean, I see that reducing the BTU load inside of the room and the heat output from the walls themselves as well.
Heat output's a big one. LED, when we first started putting it in rooms, that was a big thing. You had to worry about the ambient heat. It didn't exhaust the heat the same way that LCDs and other things that we were used to. So that was big. But the new technology, there's coatings that go on it. It's incredible in a really short period of time how that's been solved.
What are the first steps you'd recommend in terms of planning, designing, and incorporating video walls into your space?
Find a good integrator partner.
That's it.
Don't go
Done.
alone. Do it on your own.
Thank you for
You'll
coming.
wind up.
You know, as they said before, content is king. Figure out what you're going to.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we're going to the integration part. I'm a little embarrassed that I came here today, and just today I found out in my command and control room that it wasn't the same vendor that did the control panel versus what was on the wall, right? So there was one person supplied the screen, someone else supplied this. I didn't know, I thought it was a package. Now, are you guys just the screen guys, or do you guys?
Software, integration, solution, a little bit of everybody up here.
So Visual Sound is the integrator. So we bring all the solutions. So we bring all the manufacturers together.
Visual Sound is the hub of the wagon wheel,
Understand?
right?
Okay,
And
so-
each one of us is a wedge of that wagon wheel, providing them solutions to make sure you have a complete package.
Haivision does video processing software, so content management, distribution, so there's VuWall, and then you've got some LED, LCD
So
manufacturing.
software guys, hardware guys.
Oh, gotcha. So I-
Integration,
all right, thanks.
because you're also gonna need microphones,
Yeah.
right? You're gonna need
Yeah.
cameras.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
gonna
I
need
understand the bigger level stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just as far as the wall itself, the hardware plus the integration, it says, oh, I can do this, or I can drag that screen, or I can input it from here, right?
Yep.
That-
Yep.
That's still,
Yep.
that's the lower level integration needed as part of the bigger integration for the whole room.
Takes the village.
You want to involve your integration partner like Visual Sound as early as possible, right? Because the design aspect is key. Yeah.
Yep.